Hello and welcome to another episode of Smart Money Millionaire. I'm West Cohan, certified financial planner, and today's video's not that exciting. Psych! We got a straight banger for you today. We're going to talk about the 4 worst financial bets you can make. Specifically, we want to talk about the concept of expected value to help you understand the difference between a good financial decision and a bad one. So expected value, or EV as us nerds like to call it, basically represents the anticipated future value of a financial decision or a financial investment. So basically, EV is used to determine, on average, whether a financial decision will be profitable or unprofitable over the long term. In life, your financial success will be determined by your ability to successfully weigh risk versus reward to make good financial decisions. If you're consistently making positive EV decisions, your wealth will continue to grow. If you're consistently making negative EV decisions, well,
you ever suck some dick for marijuana?
So remember, a negative EV decision is one that is expected to lose money over the long run. So anytime you're making a negative EV decision, you can think about it that you're basically lighting some of your money on fire.
I'm only burning my half.
So let's take a look at 4 of the most common and most insidious negative EV decisions. Example number 1, the lottery. The break-even jackpot for a $2 Powerball ticket is $276,505,966. So anytime you buy a Powerball ticket and the jackpot is below that amount, it's a negative EV purchase. Since the vast majority of the time the Powerball jackpot is below that amount, the vast majority of Powerball tickets are a negative EV purchase. Now, it should be noted that some folks make an argument for purchasing a lottery ticket even though it has a negative EV, not for economic merits, but for the intangible merits. Basically, the argument goes that it's worth it to buy a $2 Powerball ticket because the entertainment value you receive by getting to fantasize over what you would do with your millions and millions of dollars if you won is worth the $2. Basically, you're paying for entertainment, not an investment.
We're not going to go crazy spending our winnings, and we're not going to let this money change us.
What are you talking about? This money is our ticket to the good life, starting now. I just bought a giant room full of gold coins, and I'm going to dive into it like Scrooge McDuck.
So while buying the occasional lottery ticket might make sense, especially when the jackpots get massive, buying 5 to 10 lottery tickets every week, hoping to get rich, is a bad idea, unlikely to work, and a common poverty trap. Example number 2, scratchers. So similar to lottery tickets, just about every scratcher has a negative EV, and that's not by accident, that's by design. So remember, just like the lottery, scratchers are sponsored by the state, and they're designed to generate extra revenue for the state. The only way that's mathematically possible is if the state raises more money in ticket sales than they pay out in prize money. So you can think of it like for every $100 in scratchers that are sold, the state will pay out $50 in prize money. So once you understand this basic fundamental design behind the lottery and scratcher systems, it's very easy to understand why they have a negative EV. So while it is possible to hit it big and win big on a scratcher, the more often you play and the longer you play, the more likely you are to lose money. Now, I'm sure we've all had a friend or a family member brag to us about a big win on a scratcher. The smart folks, when they get a big win, they take the money and run. The not so smart folks, when they win big, They take the money and they buy more scratchers because they are hot and feeling it. So if you win big, run, Forrest, run. Example number 3, casino games. So this applies whether we're talking about slot machines or table games like craps, roulette, and blackjack. While the odds vary depending on the game that you're playing and the casino and the rule set that you're playing under, you can rest assured that all of these games have a negative EV. When they say the house always wins, that's because it's true, and what they're talking about is that the games themselves are mathematically designed to provide an edge or an advantage to the house. So depending on the game and the rule set, the house will always win at least 50% of the time, and generally they'll win between 51% and 65% of the time, just depending on the game and the rules. So if you're still not convinced, remember that gambling is a multi-billion-dollar a year industry, and Vegas was not built on winners.
Antonio checks, Daniel checks, and takes down the pot. Whoa, 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 he mucked his hand.
What just happened? Daniel Cates just threw a wheel into the muck. That was the winning hand, and that was no small pot.
Now, personally, I rarely gamble, but when I do, I like to play blackjack. I like blackjack because it's fun, it's simple, but it also has the best odds of any casino game. While it still has a negative EV, if you play perfect blackjack, you can expect to win 48 to 49% of your hands, leaving the house with just a 1 or 2% edge. Now, when I gamble, I like to go in with a preset amount of money for my bankroll that I'm fully comfortable losing, and I'm primarily playing for entertainment purposes. Viva! That being said, it is possible to get lucky and be a winner-winner chicken dinner, or actually, in my case, my wife's a vegetarian, so it's more like, honey, we getting that organic broccoli today. Woo-wee. Example number 4, sports betting. After accounting for the VIG, or the juice, which represents the house's cut of every bet that is made, just about every sports bet that you can think of has a negative EV. Now, there's only one notable example of a sports bet that has a positive EV, even accounting for the VIG and the juice. That's in the world of horse racing. So for those of you who are curious, the positive EV bet is that you bet on the heavily favorite horse to show, which means the horse that everyone thinks is going to win will place either first, second, or third. Since most horse races only have 6 horses in a race, betting that the heavy favorite will come in the top 3 or the top half is a relatively safe bet. As you can imagine, the returns on this bet are tiny, and it's probably one of the most boring sports bets that you can make.
The Republican-controlled House of Representatives, in an effort to alleviate the effects of the, anyone? The Great Depression.
Almost every other type of sports bet, including betting on fantasy sports, is going to have a negative EV, so you need to be careful. And if you're betting through a bookie and not through a licensed casino or horse track, you need to be extra careful so you don't end up sleeping with the fishes. So while all 4 of the examples we talked about today can be fun and entertaining, it's important to understand that they all have a negative EV, and they should not play a serious role in your daily decision making or your long-term financial plan. Unless you're Rain Man and you can count cards, or you're going to create a superhuman algorithm like Moneyball,
You're discounting what scouts have done for 150 years, even yourself?
or you have the inside scoop from your best friend Tom Brady, you're almost certainly going to lose money over the long run if you're making negative EV decisions. Whenever I'm working with clients, I always like to explain the concept of expected value to help illustrate the difference between gambling and investing. And it should be noted that gambling addiction is no joke. Degenerate gamblers or degens have been known to lose their house, their car, their life savings, their marriage, and in extreme circumstances, even commit suicide. So what is the difference between gambling and investing? Well, some general rules of thumb. Gambling is usually centered around entertainment and the concept of fast money or quick money or easy money, but it generally has a negative EV attached. Whereas investing is not centered around entertainment, it's centered around patience and discipline, and it's not centered around getting rich quick or fast money or easy money, but it's more about making bets that have small but reliable and predictable positive EVs attached. So remember to avoid get-rich-quick schemes. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. In today's historically low interest rate environment, the true risk-free return is only 1 or 2%. So if someone tells you that they have a smoking hot investment deal and they can guarantee that you can get 10% return or more with no risk or low risk, that should be a huge red flag and is probably straight bollocks. So it's important to understand that while investing in traditional stocks, bonds, and real estate do have a positive EV, somewhere in the realm of 7 to 10% a year, positive on average, it's also possible to gamble in the stock market. So buying the S&P 500 in your retirement account, that's investing. Betting the farm on some penny stock trying to get rich quick overnight, that's gambling. Whenever we're managing money for clients, we're always doing it as an investor and never as a gambler. It's not about getting rich quick, it's about having patience and discipline and a long-term strategy. So when you're making financial decisions in your day-to-day life or you're thinking about your financial plan, make sure that you're incorporating positive EV decisions and looking to avoid or minimize negative EV decisions. That means putting 10 to 20% of your income in traditional stocks, bonds, or real estate, or your own education, places where you're going to have a positive EV, and avoiding spending big chunks of your income or your life savings on gambling, praying that you get lucky and get rich that way. So it's super important to understand that if you're only earning 7 to 10% a year in the stock market, that's still enough to become a millionaire over 20 to 40 years. You don't need to do anything crazy. You don't need to take crazy risk. You don't need to get super lucky. You just need to be consistent and patient, and over 20 to 40 years, 7 to 10% each year, you will become a millionaire.
Winning, winning, winning.
That is highly unlikely to be true if you're buying lots of lottery tickets or, God forbid, you're betting on the Jets.
When Jamal Adams got traded, my blood pressure was 300 over 290. I thought those numbers were good because they were high. Turns out, I was incorrect.
I am taking requests for future videos, so please let me know if there's a topic you'd like to see, or if you had any questions about today's video, please leave me a comment below. Thank you for watching, and remember, if you're smart with your money and you make good decisions, you're on your way to becoming a smart money millionaire.
Viva! Viva Las Vegas!
Disclaimer, this video is for educational purposes only.